Shalom. HALALYAM YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHUSHAI BAHASHAM QADASH. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and taught us this truth through the Spirit. Shalom to the sincere Akim Wagwatim, listening and learning, being doers of the word, to the Akim out here laboring, making their bodies a living sacrifice, and to the speckled birds scattered abroad that look like the other nations but are truly Hasharala Shalom. Just something I was meditating on real quick. Meditating on how a lot of our people, awakened Israelites at that, believe in carnal weaponry. I was meditating on that again, and I was just thinking, like, wow, it's really simple to understand why we're not supposed to do that. And that just shows you, I like to say that the scriptures, in order to understand the scriptures, you cannot just, it's a matter of logic and common sense, right? But really, the scriptures tell you, like, it's through the Spirit. Either the Lord's dealing with you or he's not. And he wants you to understand these things or he doesn't. It's through the Spirit that you can get these mysteries and these answers or not. All right? And the thing about it is, when you look at, and you don't need to go to a bunch of different scriptures, it really is simple once you look at the logic surrounding it, because we're not in the times of our own monarchies. We're not in the times of King David. We're not in the times of King Solomon. We're not in the Maccabean period where we were called to war. Okay, this is not in the time of, the book of Judges, where we were to learn war. Of course, we have knowledge and things like that, but it's not meant for us to be fighting against Esau, especially using his form of, weaponry, his warfare. The scriptures say the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual, to the pulling down of strongholds. And it also says that the word of the Lord is, I believe it's Ephesians 4:25. It kind of escapes me, but it said something like, the word of our sword, something like our sword is the word of Yahweh, basically, pretty much. So when we speak about our swords, we're not always talking about, it's not always literal, it's referring to the word of the Lord. All right, and that was a precept. It's our weapons are not carnal. Now, when you look at what Yahawashi went through, he said himself, I could call down a legion of angels to wipe out you damn Romans and you wicked ass Israelites in less than in the blink of an eye. Why would he need Peter to draw his sword? Okay, when you look at what chapter was that? I don't remember what chapter it was, but in John, or it was Luke, I think. Select, I don't remember, but when you look at that chapter and he told them, to get your swords, those two swords that they brought, he was like, okay, that's enough. He told them, pray that you don't fall into temptation. All right, but even before then, he asked them, did you lack anything? When I sent you with nothing, did you lack anything? And they said no. Now, all right, well, you have an option here. You have the swords and you have what I told you. Okay, pray that you don't fall into temptation, because ultimately it was a test, and they fell into temptation because they went to sleep. All right. Then when they got converged on, Peter drew the sword and cut the dude's ear, the high priest's ear, and Yahawashi said, "That's enough," and healed him. Okay, so what was the point of that? Why did he? What was the point of the swords then? Okay, and then they went on to betray him. Okay, Peter denied him 3 times. That was the point. Okay, he's not them. You can't take that verse out of context and say we need to go get swords. Swords are so important that you should sell your clothes to get you a gun. Ultimately, if you think that you should be doing that, then that is more important than the clothes off your back. You might as well. But that was a whole test. Okay, but when you look at the point is, you look at that scenario, you look at when Yahawashi said in John 18:36, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, then my servants would fight, but they're not, because this is not my kingdom." And then you look at John, you can find it in John 13:16 and John 20 or 15:20, where it says, "The servant is not greater than the master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you." Okay? They won't listen to me, they won't listen to you. So on and so forth. Yahawashi had to deal with his lot. Okay, he had to fulfill he had a mission. Okay, we were called to bid the elect to the gospel. Okay, out of this captivity, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. In Micah 2:10. So who do we think we are to try to train ourselves up? Not only train ourselves up, but train ourselves up using Esau's blessing. Okay? We don't have spiritual power right now. Every time we won, it was because we were humbled and we were actually listening to Yahawadah Yahawashi. It wasn't out of our own strength ever. Okay? It was always us getting delivered because of Yahawadah Yahawashi. So what makes any of you Israelites, right? That you're Israel, but you still are holding on to this gun, weapon, bug out bag doctrine, super stocking doctrine, okay, and calling it wise. Okay, that's not what Yahawadah Yahawashi called us to do. He is going to show forth his power and deliver us. That's how bad this captivity is. That wouldn't make sense if we could just defend ourselves with guns. Now, what power is he showing forth? Because that's Esau's. You would expect people to fight back using guns and military warfare and things like that. That doesn't line up with what the Lord was speaking about. Okay. So just like I said, I would call it logic and common sense, looking at everything surrounding the situation we're in, but it's really through the Spirit. If you can't understand it, then it's just not for you. Okay? But through the Spirit, that is very clear. That's very obvious. That's the only thing that makes sense, is to wait on the spiritual power and wait on Yahawadah Yahawashi to deliver us himself. Alright? With Yahawashi's return. Not for you to think that you are above Yahawashi when he said he could have done it himself. Okay, but the Lord didn't say to do that. Alright, so who do you think you are to think that you're above Yahawashi? That you don't need to deal with persecution. You don't need to deal with all the prophecy and everything that we're supposed to be going through. Okay? So with that, I want to say Shalom.